Okay, there we go. I'm here. So as you guys filter in, give me time to kind of. Okay, it is public now. Okay, so yeah, if you're coming in and I saw somebody say, "Oh, I tried to go there, but the reboot wasn't it was private." Yes, I do that. I set it on private until I need it so that when because if I had it on public, some people would go to the wrong stream and I may never use the stream. Sometimes I don't need to. That's why I do that. I keep it on private, but that's why you have to give me a minute to get in there and then change it up. So anyway, thanks Deb for posting the link. Oh, so frustrating. So even though I was said mostly all that I wanted to say, I still I wanted to kind of finish the thought. The thought of because I believe this is super important when you guys start learning how to be self-taught of not just going, having your foundation, of course. Learn your basics. These are important, just like learning, your weights and measures. Just like being maybe really particular, following a recipe all the way where everything's perfect. You're leveling everything off. But then from there, once you have that, you've got the basics. You know how to make this bread, this cake, these cookies, whatever it is. Now you can be creative and branch out from there. And this is important. And the more you can do that, the easier it'll all get. So do I look glitchy? I feel like on here I'm looking at the thing and I'm moving around and it's kind of glitchy. Everything's not matching up. Maybe it just needs a minute. So here's Tyler. How to be self-taught. Sit yourself down, have a stern look and hold a thick ruler. 3, don't accept excuses from yourself. Sounds pretty good. And yes, I know Tyler's being a goofball as always, but hey, there's still some truth in that. So anyway, well, hopefully it'll get better. Otherwise, you'll probably lose me again. So let me just think for a minute. Okay. So when we're talking about being self-taught, I'm going to finish this thought out. It's not even just about cooking. It's not just about learning about herbs or how to heal yourself. Obviously, these things are important, but that goes for anything. Whether it be you're trying to figure out how to take care of your own vehicle, change the oil, change the filters, maybe do some minor repairs. It's just like Patrick. Everything he does, he's pretty much self-taught and he comes up with his own ideas. And then if he ever has a time where he feels like he can't fix something, like he's tried and it's not working, he gets really down on himself, but he shouldn't because he's fixed so many other things. So you got to realize you're still going to have failures. You're still like he tried to fix a fan that my grandson broke and it's still not fixed right. And he thought he had it and it wasn't right. But at any rate, yeah, you got to accept the fact there's going to be failures along the way. But the failures, as some had already said in the chat from the stream before we got cut off, the failures are part of the learning process. It's just like when you're in school and you got a couple of red marks, check marks on your thing that, were wrong. Well, what'd you do? You had to relearn that. Of course, I don't know what they do in school nowadays, but like my kids, when they got something wrong in their math assignment, they checked their own work. That once they got to a certain age, I allowed them to check their own work. If they got it wrong, they had to rework that problem until they were able to come up with the same answer that was in the book. It's like, okay, I figured out my mistake. So they might have had a failure in their initial answer, but their success was in the fact of constantly reworking that problem until they realized what they were doing wrong and they came out with the right answer. So not having the answer book isn't so you can cheat. Having an answer book is so you can say, okay, I didn't have the right answer. So now I got to figure out how I messed up so I can come out with the right answer this time. Failure is a learning opportunity. Exactly. In today's school of tolerance, there are no wrong answers, right? So again, that comes back to my point, just like with the AI just invading everything these days, uh, with the way school is going, and this is in universities and in elementary school, there's no wrong answers. You can just do whatever you want, and you can still pass. And so now what we have is a bunch of, we used to say, educated idiots, people had no common sense, but now they're not even educated. So it's kind of scary. So we got to take education of ourselves, of our children, of our grandchildren into our own hands and make sure they're getting, ourselves and our loved ones are getting the education that they need to be able to not only survive, but to thrive. And like I said, I mean, to me, teaching dance, it wasn't just about, here's some dance lessons. You may never use a pirouette in your life, a perfect pirouette on point, even, or a grand jeté. You might not ever need that to survive. But what else was I teaching those kids? I was teaching them that they had the ability to learn, they had the ability to succeed in something, and they had the ability to uh, well, they had that self-confidence, and I had mentioned this before. Giving these kids self-confidence and the ability to think outside the box was so rewarding and important to me. So, yeah, so remember that applies to everything. I didn't quite finish my list, but I was talking about woodworking and car maintenance. That's learning. I totally self-taught, learn how to crochet. Um, I don't knit yet, but I have what I need to learn how to knit. I've tried a little bit. I'm like, it's just not important enough for me. But if I really wanted to do it, I know I can. I'm not worried about it. I just don't want to. I don't care about it at this point. I love to crochet. Um, a lot of the things I do sewing, self-taught. Learned a little bit in school and sewing, when we had to do home ec, but everything else was self-taught. Learn how to play guitar and drums. I mean, I'm not like a professional, but enough to, back myself up on a solo that I wrote myself or whatever. And that's all I cared about. And I self-taught on both of those. So, and those aren't necessarily important things either, but they can be fun. So anything that you want to do and that you feel is necessary, you can do it.